What's up, guys? This is Rikk, and you're watching The Pumpkin Patch. Today on The Pumpkin Patch, I'm going to do a review episode covering a few of the more recent splits that came out within the horror punk community. Namely, the Horror Punk Splatter Massacre by the boys in 5 Cent Freakshow and Lugers, as well as the Phantom Spaceman / Jet Jaguar, Mummula and Lustkill split that came out in December. Before we get started on that, I just want to do a quick update as always. So as of today, I am completely finished with the writing and organizational piece of the horror rock scene that I have been working on. I know it's taken way too long, but you know how it is. I get busy, I got work, I had school, music stuff on my own, as well as just being unmotivated. Been going through a little bit of a depression lately, but I'm super stoked to be out of that. Been motivated to get things done. Like I said, I just got that done. That's why I'm able to do this right now. So I appreciate all of my friends' support, namely you guys over in the horror punk, community online and things like that, for any of your support, and I just appreciate you guys being there. You know who you are. Aside from that, as always, we're still waiting on Ryther's stuff. Rikk from Nothing But a Nightmare is getting his studio set up fixed, and so I'm still sort of working on that, or waiting on that. I don't think I had mentioned it prior to this video, but I have been hanging out with him and helping out at the shop a little bit, promoting things online, things like that. Speaking of which, you should go to the Nothing But a Nightmare Records website and pick yourself up a Dirty Dead t-shirt, which does come with their latest single. It is badass, and any of you who are fans of Misfits, which all of you should be, and fast-paced, aggressive horror punk, if that sounds like something that you want to listen to, you should check out the Dirty Dead, check out their new album when it drops on Nothing But a Nightmare Records, and pick up one of their t-shirts, which hopefully I'll be rocking one soon. And for those of you who don't already, check me out on Instagram at Rikk. You can see a picture of the t-shirt on there as well. So with no further ado, we will get to this review. So I'm going to start with the shorter album to review, and then I'll go into the longer one. So Horror Punk Splatter Massacre. It is a 4-song EP. 2 songs by 5 Cent Freakshow from Canada, and 2 songs from Los Lugers in Spain. I think that both of these releases are awesome, but upon knowing that this release was happening, I was pretty stoked about it, because 5 Cent Freakshow, they're the boys, and I believe they are sort of, maybe not leading, but definitely in the forefront of the current what I'm deeming as the third wave of horror punk, and Los Lugers is up there with them as well. They're also a badass band, and if you haven't seen my review on their album Slashers, I will leave the link below for you to check that out as well. So the thing that I think is interesting about this Horror Punk Splatter Massacre is, not only was it released on a 7-inch, but the artwork is super badass. The first side, I guess there's no sides, but on one side you got 5 Cent Freakshow, where it has this image, clown and a skull face garb, and it just makes it look like this fun sort of creepy freak show, like it should, right? On the other side you got Los Lugers, and since they're a little bit closer to the metal side of things, their artwork definitely reflects that. It has all of them on it with their instruments, with this giant, like, 3-boobed alien in the background, as if they're about to save the world from this monster, right? It just has this badass visual presence to it. So I really enjoy that. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to get the 7-inch. I'm a little, short on funds, but I do have the digital, which I'm pretty stoked about owning. And for those of you who know me, I typically end up doing digital anyway. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have all the funds to get the physical stuff, and I'm not the best at really listening to it on my vinyl player or a CD player. When I get a CD, it ends up on my iPod, and that's what I listen to. So on the 5 Cent Freak Show side, you have 2 songs, Bury You Alive and Sweet Elena. So these songs both stick to the typical 5 Cent Freak Show sound, where it's a little bit of sort of mixture of the boo-wop, like rockabilly. They're like, if you haven't listened to them, check them out definitely. But they're sort of on that like cusp of like the old school rock and roll boo-wop sound with a stand-up bass, and it works really well for them. They do a really good job of it. They have a little bit of a Blitzkid sound to them, in my opinion, which makes sense because I know Nikki is a huge Blitzkid fan. So Bury You Alive sort of starts out slow and somber. Kind of reminds me of like the funeral march, that dun 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 dun. It's kind of like that, but obviously not played exactly like that. And it has a lot of haze. It's very reminiscent of Pumpkin Patch Murders by Blitzkid. And hey, 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 kind of keeps it real slow and sort of builds it up a little bit. And then vocals come in maybe towards the middle of a line. It starts to pick up, go back towards a more mid-tempo speed versus the slower speed in the beginning. On these tracks, both of them have the vocal filter to make it sound a little bit more early rock and roll, which is really cool. And this one in particular, it has some catchy woes at the end. Throughout it, I feel like out of their 2 songs, this is their weaker one, but it does have, like I said, that dynamic intro that keeps it interesting. Sweet Elena is definitely the on their side is the highlight for them. It comes in with the stand-up bass, so the clicky, typical psychobilly thing. You have that the click noises on the stand-up bass, and they have a build-up that's just like super melodic, which sounds really fucking cool. It says, reanimation of my dream girl, like that section is really well done, and then it goes into a woe-laden chorus. What I think is really cool is to keep up the dynamics. They have this in sort of a 2-section piece, I think, and on the third one, it builds up it goes from the chorus to a non-guitar chorus where it's just drums, and I think it has the bass and vocals. Whoa, 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 like it has like woes in it during that part, and then it kicks back in with the dynamics of the guitar coming back in, and then it has an outro with no vocals on it. So I really enjoyed this song. I enjoyed both songs, but I really enjoyed this song a little bit more than the other one. It has all of those cool dynamic pieces to it. They have it on their Bandcamp. If for whatever reason you don't feel like buying the whole split, you can check out their side of the Horror Punk Splatter Massacre on their Bandcamp, link listed below. Now moving on to Los Lugers portion. Their first song on the album is called Mujeres del Espacio, which is Women from Space. It has like this sort of dynamic intro with like sirens going off, as if you're running through like a rocket ship or something, and some aliens are about to board. As most of their music, it is very woe-laden in the chorus. And the layers, I think, are something to point out in this track for them. It's very well layered. I feel like I really enjoy the production on a lot of Los Lugers stuff because it has a lot of really well layered vocals, which make it sound really dynamic. And then they have this cool section of a solo on the guitar, but at one point it goes into a call and response from the guitar and the drums. So I thought that was really cool. I don't typically hear that in metal stuff. So I really enjoyed and really appreciated that. For their second track, they do an All My Friends Are Dead cover, which is pretty fucking awesome. I'm not the biggest fan of Turbo Negro, but I do enjoy the stuff that I've heard. I'm not super familiar with their stuff, but everyone knows the song. Everyone knows that it's essentially We Are 138, just kind of changed up. And if you didn't know that, you should check them out back to back because they're pretty much the same song. Anyways, what I think is cool is that Los Lugers does their own interpretation of this. They add, another layer to it by doing most of the verses in Spanish and some of the choruses in Spanish as well. They also add, a little bit of different things going on with the guitar, with the solos, and they have there's a super driving tambourine throughout the whole song. It's really cool, really well done. I would say out of the two, just because this is a cover, their first one, Mujeres del Espacio, is probably the highlight of it, but it is really cool to see that they did this cover as well. My only critique for this entire split is that it is pretty short. It's only 4 songs. I wish that they had the ability to put an extra one on for both, making it 6. But I'm really stoked that both of these bands did it, and I'm really looking forward to new material from both of them because they, like I said, are 2 of my favorite bands coming up in the scene right now. Speaking of longer splits, the next one that I'm going to cover is a little bit longer. It is the Phantom Spaceman Jet Jaguar split from Mummula and Lustkill. So where the first split was sort of aggressive, but also kind of played on that old, that boo-wop stuff. It's a little incohesive sound-wise. But that's what I enjoyed about it. They both had 2 different sounds, but it worked together. I think that this split is pure catchy as fuck pop punk, and it is awesome. So for those of you who don't know, Mummula typically mixes in that sort of garage rock, sort of surfy vibe to almost Ramones-esque pop punk. At least from what I've gathered, and most of their, they're in the horror punk thing because they have the whole mummy garb, sort of like the Mummies, that garage band, and they're just fun. The whole thing's super playful. I don't know much about Lustkill, but from what I've heard from Eric of Mummula, they're sort of they don't consider themselves a horror punk band. They're more of just a pop punk band. That's fine. It sounds fucking cool, and they have a little bit of songs about monsters and stuff like that, and Satan, which is rad. So on the Mummula side, they start out with the title track, Phantom Spaceman, super fucking catchy. It starts out spelling out Phantom, Spaceman, Phantom. It spells Phantom and then it repeats Spaceman. And it's sort of fast and in your face. One of the cool parts to note about this track is that there are little vocal backing parts that mimic a theremin. So sort of on the same realm of where Lugers had that space element going on in their track. They're doing the same thing where they have those type of things. Maybe, obviously not very, they're probably way better than I am at doing that. But it mimics the theremin, and I think it was a really cool addition to the track. On their second song, it's called To the Grave. It's a little bit more Ramones-esque. It's a little bit more mid-tempo, not as in your face, sort of bass-driven, at least in what I can hear. It has like lower-end guitar stuff, at least, again, what I can hear. They have a lot of woes. I feel like on their section, this is the weaker link for me. It's a good song, don't get me wrong, but it's just not as catchy. I don't feel like the vocals stand out as much. This one's, again, not... It's like sort of low end. On the vocals being sung are a little bit lower, not like volume-wise, just tonally. So it doesn't stand out as much as the other ones, which are a little bit more like in-your-face, sort of power pop stuff. But it does have a really cool bridge section that builds up back into the woes. Like it's really well crafted. Their whole split, and everything that these bands do are really well done. And it just happens that this one's not the one that I enjoy the most on this whole release. After that song, you have Mummula versus Monster Island. This one's more of a surf instrumental, which for me is fucking awesome because I love surf music. Ironically, because I do not like to swim. But this one's cool because it comes in very, surfy and tribal, and it has these like very tribal, like ooh, ah, like those kind of vocals going on. And when it goes from the tribal sections, it's like really big and dynamic, and it goes into a little bit of a lower end. Excuse me. The dynamics go down, which is cool because then it gives like a really good place for the wet, surf guitar sounding stuff to come in, and it goes back and forth throughout that. And at the very end, the dynamic tribal part gets bigger. So instead of just a few people saying ooh ah, it like becomes this big, like as if someone's the stereotype of someone going around a volcano, like that type of thing, like just getting real big. That's where the drums go from the ride to the hi-hat, so it makes it this bigger dynamic piece. I believe that this is the highlight for me on their side of the split. Again, I believe all of these bands have them individually on their Bandcamps. I remember Eric had mentioned that Mummula and Lustkill did it as a split, but the names are different, so that would be easier for them to distribute on both ends. So all of these, releases are going to be linked below. So on to Lustkill. Like I said, I don't know much about them, and I know that they don't consider themselves a horror punk band, and I just want everyone to know that I really dislike their name because it's kind of silly to me. But they're fucking awesome musically. They're, super upbeat pop punk, and like Ramones-esque pop punk, not like Blink-182-esque. And yeah, just starting on their first track, it's about a giant robot. It's like, go jet, go jet Jaguar. It's like super poppy. The vocalist kind of reminds me of the guy from Big D and the Kids Table, which is fucking cool to me. It's a really fun track. The highlight of their side for me is their song Satan's My Girl. It's mid-tempo, not as poppy as the first song, and the lyrics and the vocal parts of it are super, like, their songs are cute. They're super cute and they're fun. And this one's like, I think Satan is my girl. Yeah, and it's just super silly, and that's why it's great. It has like super catchy woes. I like that it goes in the beginning from I'm thinking that Satan's my girl to I don't care that Satan's my girl. It's just I don't know, it's fun, it's playful. I don't think we have a lot of, we have, I don't know, we have that in the horror punk scene for sure, but done this way I think was really refreshing for me to hear, mainly because maybe because I don't know I don't listen to super poppy pop punk as much. Maybe that's why. And the last track on this is also great. It's called Drive Through. It's legit about the singer being in love with a girl who works at Panda Express. And yeah, it's silly as fuck. And again, it's cute and catchy. And it's super upbeat. I definitely recommend listening to all of these splits, like all of the sides of the splits for both of these releases, because they're great. And if anything that I mentioned sounds enticing to you, whether it be more on the metal side from Los Lugers, more on the boo-wop side from 5 Cent Freak Show, or if you want to listen to some catchy as fuck pop punk, Mummula and Lustkill right there for you. Like I said, Lustkill a little bit poppier than Mummula on this release, but both are, again, catchy as fuck, and definitely in that pop punk realm. I guess with that, I want to say I hope bands, will do more splits. I'm really hoping. I really like that sort of media where you have the ability to do, to release a 7-inch or whatever and split the costs and promote it, with 2 different bands promoting it. That's a cool idea. Aside from that, it's fun to be able to hook up with friends and just have fun and do music. I'm hoping at some point in the future, whether it be the Writhers or any other project that I'll be working on at the time, that I'll be able to put out another split. Because when I had asked bands to send me stuff, no one really sent me anything. I wanted to be able to do an entire episode of splits. So maybe in the future, for any of you watching, if you send me a split, maybe I can do a part 2 of my super awesome horror punk splits review. Just an idea. Anyways, as always, I appreciate you watching. Like I said, please drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell, get those notifications. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at RickRtreat. And I will catch you guys later. You have been watching The Pumpkin Patch.